Everybody over here? Liz, okay? Please stand for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sir.
Here.
Council President Brinkley. Here. Councilman Day.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilman Giacometti.
Here.
Councilwoman Polidori. Here. Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is Kelly Miller, Borough Attorney, Kevin Boyle, Borough Administrator.
Okay, thank you. And please excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold, so it might be hard to understand me, but we'll work through this. We have a presentation, and would Sharon Sonny please step forward?
So for those of you who might not know, yesterday was the 107th birthday for Girl Scouts. So we're going to do a little presentation for Girl Scouts. Paula, come on up if you don't mind. Paula is the service unit manager, so it's just appropriate.
Hi.
Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. Can we do it? That's perfect. Helen Keller is credited with saying that character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. This certainly applies to Juliet Daisy Gordon Lowe, the founder of Girl Scout, when she assembled a group of 18 girls for the first ever Girl Scout meeting on March 12, 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. The Girl Scouts of Lakedale, which is comprised of Pompton Lakes and Riverdale, find these similar characteristics in our own service unit manager, Paulette Roush.
Hey!
Paulette is funny, caring, a nurturer, a ringleader, an animal lover, as her dogs are named Daisy and Juliet. Her enthusiasm is contagious, and it empowers the Lakedale leaders and girls to consistently strive to achieve the Girl Scout agenda of GIRL, go-getter, innovator, risk-taker, and leader. She champions our ideas, encourages us to influence leadership, and advances girls to make the world and our community a better place. Paulette made the decision to become a leader in 2012 when she met one of the Lakedale troops and leaders while making a donation of clothing for residents who were victims of Hurricane Sandy. She immediately offered to help in any way she could, and being true Girl Scouts, they immediately sucked her in and told her that Lakedale was in need of a leader for a Brownie troop. Today, those girls are freshmen in high school, some of them are here, and achieving great things under Paulette's leadership. Shortly after becoming part of the Girl Scout team, she assumed the role of service unit manager in 2014. She uses her vision and tenacity to train leaders of every level, leaders who love Girl Scouts just as much as she does. Advocates enrichment for leaders and girls, manages monthly team meetings, coordinates community service nights, fall festivals, and special Girl Scout events such as caroling, parades, and ceremonies. You may be asking yourself, what makes this amazing woman stand out above all others involved in the Lakedale Girl Scouts? Paulette has never had a child in Girl Scouts. She is the stepmother of 2 grown children. She grew up in Lions Head Lake in Wayne. She went to college in Southern Connecticut State University, where she majored in elementary education. She's part owner of a family business, loves spending time with her mom, dad, brother, and sister, and her partner in life, Greg. Her ability to look on the bright side of things, her determination to see the youth in our community succeed, and her true dedication to the Girl Scout oath and law is what makes her truly remarkable.
So with that, we have a certificate to thank you for years of work. But before I get there, I can always count on the Girl Scouts, and all the Girl Scouts and their parents are in the room to show up to every event we have. And that means a lot to the town, and it means a lot to the people. I get politicians that come from other areas, but not from Pompton Lakes, and they always say, how come the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts come to everything you guys do? I said, it's the kind of town we are, it's the kind of kids they are. So you should all be proud that you show up to all the events, and through your leadership, that's why they're doing that. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Borough Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Certificate of recognition presented to Paula, Girl Scout mission statement, Girl Scouting builds girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. In appreciation and gratitude for your years of dedication and leadership as a volunteer within the Girl Scout program. Now, Michael Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Girls, you want to come down to the chance?
Oh, come on. All the Girl Scouts in the room, come and take a picture of me and Ryan, all
I'll take.
Thank you. I used up my points. What flavor did you bring? I didn't know about that one. No, I'm going to look at the label because I ordered it for my grandkids. This is interesting. So this one is this one. This one doesn't have the other, some of them have a picture of her. Oh, there it is.
Yes. You can watch it on YouTube later. You can watch it on YouTube later.
My mom.
Thank you guys for supporting the town.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a real meeting to have now. So if anybody wants to leave, now's your chance to leave. Or you can stay if you'd like.
She was walking next to the door.
Kevin, who's doing the willow field? Okay, we have another short presentation, which is the willow field presentation, and our administrator is going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, we'll give him a second again.
On the consent agenda this evening is a resolution.
Kevin, we can't, the microphone has to get closer. It's not working too well.
On the consent agenda this evening is the resolution 1978, which authorizes submission to the County for Safe Open Space Farmland Preservation Grant for the Willowfield Joe Grill Complex. A number of years ago, representatives of the baseball, t-ball, and softball community came to members of the governing body asking for assistance in the potential redevelopment and expansion of the Willowfield ball complex. At that point in time, the project in of itself was a significant amount of money, and we've already had applied for open space funding to complete the Morris Canal Greenway. Since that time, this project has been discussed at a number of different local organizations, Open Space Committee, so forth and so on, to get community input, and we believe now we have a project that will have to be split into a couple different sections. The first section is going to be, we're applying for this time, is to relocate the fields and add a field down at Willowfield. Down the road is going to be a project to put a walkway around the entire complex and hopefully have some new top lots and some type of of a playground area there also. But this application basically is with a field improvements and relocation, so we can do the overall project. The project itself, as it stands right now, just construction costs are $332,000. We're asking the county for $250,000 of county funding, and we're hoping to, after the new referendum, apply about $82,000 for our own open space trust funds. We have notified all the residents of 200 feet of the project. We received no questions before that. We are not taking any additional property, and we will probably need a number of permits from the DEP and work with our counterparts at both DEP and county, since some county property is adjacent to where we're working. At this point in time, that's the overall of the project. At this point in time, we have to open up to a public hearing, and then we'll have the hearing, then we close it, and then we can move forward with the resolution during the regular part of the meeting.
All right, so we've been asked to just follow up. We've been asked to make some improvements down to Willow Field, which we think are needed. It's a program that we're going to work with hand in hand with the county and on their open space funds and maybe our own open space funds to improve things down there for everybody. It's not just baseball fields. We're looking at playgrounds. We're looking at changing the traffic flow. A lot of things we'd like to see changed down there. So hopefully with these grants that take some time to get, we'll be able to move forward in that direction. Any questions from the council? Or anybody want to add anything? No. Okay.
I think you have a hearing, Mayor.
Oh, sorry. We have to
Open to public discussion.
I'm sorry. So I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on just this. No.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Yes, just this application.
Councilwoman Baldori, who's second? Council President Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this project? Step up.
Yeah, I'm Randy Hitton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I sit on open space. We've been going over this for a while. Yes, open space meetings are open to the public. Public would have been notified by this a long time ago if they had come to the meeting. But then I just noticed Liz had put in the paper about this presentation. It was supposed to be the last meeting, but it got pushed off to now. And I was just curious about the wording in the paper. And it says, based upon your input, an application will be made. But you've already made a resolution and made an application.
I think with the county, but I'm going to ask.
How does that,
No,
this public meeting that we're having now,
Absolutely, yeah.
and based upon our input from the public, an application will be made. But now the application's already made before we
well,
had
it's not
the
Mary made. The resolution's on for the agenda. I assume there was enough.
Oh, it's a resolution to make an
Right.
application.
Yes.
So
It's
if
based
there
upon
was
this.
enough public concern, the resolution might not go forward.
This is just the first step, the resolution.
All right, it's just the first step. The only concern that anybody that I've ever talked to about the project was that the project is going to be in the floodway, not in the floodplain. And a lot of people that I've talked to wondering how much sense that really makes. If
Well,
you
the
guys
sense is
can elaborate a little bit.
Sure. We're replacing trees with better trees that do a better absorption rate in the flood area. So some of the trees that are down there now are better word garbage trees that don't do what they're supposed to do. The trees that we're going to put back in probably the T-ball field where it is now will be better trees that do a better job of absorbing water during a flooding event. So that will be part of that. You don't agree with that? Is that correct, Eric?
That's under the advice of the engineer.
Yes.
Well, maybe even a little further, Randy. One of the other issues we have is that there's not a lot of land left to develop ball fields.
Right.
And at this point in time, the issue of those fields, I mean, even when you look at Hirschfield Park, I mean, if we have a major flood, that's going to happen. I think the feeling is that instead of trying to take additional land away for fields, let's work what we have in that area and hope that we can understand potential of having that in the floodplain and floodway. Because otherwise, there's really no other real place to put that type of facility. It makes more sense to improve that facility than to try to continue to just, build fields in a scatter and harebrained concept.
Right.
And you were part of the meeting where the engineer did say that the area where the T-ball fields are now is actually hurting us with the flooding because the water moves faster over that open space. And when you put trees there, it will slow down the flow a little bit on that turn on the bend. So he thinks it'll help us over there.
Yeah, a reconfiguration of that whole area would probably be helpful in a
Yes.
flood situation. But from my 6 or 7 years with the Shade Tree Commission, I don't know of any trees that are better at absorbing water than others. Some are better in water conditions, but most trees absorb pretty much the same amount of
That's
water.
not what we were told by the engineer. He was
yeah.
talking some certain type of willow trees, I think he said, and some other ones would do a better job there.
Possibly, if we can get them on there. I know from the plan that I've seen that you're gonna put 75 new trees in there.
Right.
But, well, okay, I just had a few questions on how that was set up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address just this project? Just this project?
Just this.
Just this project?
What?
Just this about the fields? Okay. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman DeLine, Councilman Giacosetto, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Now can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? So moved. Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilwoman Palidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Now, any concerns you have with the town, please step forward if you'd like. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
My name is Gregory Cockapher, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Your new councilman, I was a member, I'm a veteran of the United States Coast Guard, which is quite a peaceful organization, okay? I've served under very bad conditions, I've been shot at, not during Coast Guard work. I'm Liberty. I know what a gun facing you looks like and everything else. I face danger in the streets of San Francisco, it's unbelievable. But what I'm here to talk about is the Coast Guard is a very peaceful organization. And while I was in the Coast Guard, I had an opportunity to possibly change the environs of Pompton Lakes by 287. I was in this restaurant, and I think I've told you this before, well, the new councilmen have not heard this. I was in a restaurant, specifically at Denny's, where these people came in with all these maps. Well, I began listening to them because they were sitting right behind me. They said Pompton Lakes. Strange. So I said, I'm from Pompton Lakes. Well, prove it. Well, I had my driver's license, which didn't have my picture on it back then because picture licenses didn't come before. Anyway, I said, oh, that's interesting. I'm in the Coast Guard, the Department of Transportation. Oh. Well, anyway, they says, well, we got like these 5 different routes, maybe 6. Well, I said, why don't you pick this route, which is, I can't remember the exact one. But I picked it, and that's the one they picked. Well, they had to go to Washington, D.C. the next day. Well, they were going to go 2 days from then, but he says, you know what, Greg? We're going to choose yours. There was the least amount of houses that were interfered with this, because I know. And also I was considering, well, earthquakes happen in California, they could happen here. So I was basically thinking about an earthquake because we had one in California about 2 weeks before. I said, what happens if we have one in Pompton Lakes? Or we had one a few years ago. Well, anyway, I gave you, and you, Jennifer, what I feel Pompton Lakes needs. Did you read it?
I looked through it, and I do have it here.
Okay, well, you can read it. I'll talk about it next week. But consider the future of people only. And I love Pompton Lakes, okay? I love the people in Pompton Lakes more than the actual city, because we're humans here. And as a human being of Pompton Lakes, I want the best I don't have any kids, maybe someday I'll have, but I just want the best of what I can give Pompton Lakes. And right now, I think it's that plan. So you can read it. If everybody's had it here, then you can talk about it, okay?
Hey, thank you. I'm going to ask Eck and Councilwoman Palidori to read through it and bring back what you pick out of that. Okay.
Thank you, Greg.
Anyone else? Please step up.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Richie Lombardo, 30 Schuyler Avenue, Pompton Lakes, Plume resident. I don't know where it's at now or what's going on, to be honest with you, but I understand there's some talk about changing the zoning for the DuPont site and possibly moving sanitation and a recycling center to that area. Again, this is only hearsay for me, but I want to talk about that for a little bit. You know, other townships are suing DuPont right now for environmental damage, and Pompton Lakes has a history, unfortunately, of not siding with the residents, especially the Plume residents. They've really gotten screwed over in a big way for many years. And this raises a lot of issues. For example, if you look at the acreage that the sanitation and the recycling center uses now, it could be what, maybe 3 acres tops. You're talking about 800 acres up there. So when you talk about changing the zoning, are you talking about changing the zoning just for the acreage that's going to be utilized, or for the entire 800-acre site?
Can I answer one at a time, that way I won't forget, or do you want to continue going? It's up to you.
Go ahead, you can answer.
All right, so just to start with what you just brought up, they're changing the zoning because the zoning now is outdated. It's recreation. There will be no recreation there. So we have to change the zoning on that.
How did it ever get to be recreation?
It's recreation and,
It's actually residential right now.
residential recreation. That's what it is. We don't want that.
How did it get to be residential?
That was 30 years ago when they talked about a hotel and a golf course up there. Okay, so we don't want that, so that's why it's being changed. When it comes to the DPW, we're carving off a little area, and we're not sure of how it's going to work. We're not even close to talking about it, but the EPA and the DEP both back the project going up there. It would give us more space. Our DPW, where they are now, flood. The last couple storms, they flooded. We can't keep our DPW in a building that floods all the time, so we need to put them somewhere else. But the rezoning has nothing to do with the DPW going there. The DPW would be a carved-out area. Roughly, as the whole DuPont property, there's maybe 70 acres that are usable. The rest of it will be preserve or conservation or something like that. Out of the 70 that are there, approximately, we'll get 5 acres to maybe move our DPW there. The other 65 or so, DuPont will decide what they're going to do with talking to the EPA and the DEP.
Well, you know, we're very concerned. First of all, there's never been a clear plan presented to clean up the property. The actual emanation point from where, you know, up in the mountain I'm talking about. We don't have any of that, and, you know, we're aware of what's going on, and even if you have plans on putting 10 workers up on that site, you're putting we feel that you're jeopardizing their health.
They want to move there.
Well, you know, I mean, a lot of people want to do a lot of things. You're the leaders of this community.
We feel, so let me just take that. The EPA and the DEP are the ones that are in charge of what's going on there. They'll decide the cleanup actions, not the borough. They're in the process of doing that now with DuPont, what the cleanup actions will be. The only thing I can say for certain that the borough has said for numerous years is there will be no residential housing on our side up there. The EPA agrees with us, the DEP agrees with us. What they do from that point on, it's private property. They can do whatever they want with their private property.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we have to go along with it. Even if there's some financial incentive, you know, for moving there, we have to still look at the overall picture and the health of those workers. So I just want to go down on record for saying that, you know, that much more has to be explored and utilized, and, you know, I think that this should be, you know, discussed out in the open a little bit more, so people...
We're nowhere discussing it yet. We're still waiting for the DEP and the EPA to decide on an action of cleanup. That has to happen first.
Okay, all right,
So,
thank you.
but when it does, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Helen Martins, 59 White Way. I come before the council because I am upset about this rezoning. To think about the recycling center being put up there, and all the trucks that are going to come down Cannonball Road through town, and then your recycling center with all the traffic going in there, I think is really ridiculous with all the houses that are around there. When DuPont was up there, yes, it was a company, and look what they did. I don't really want any more companies up there. I don't even want the DEP and the recycling center up there. We have enough pollution up there as it is.
But unfortunately, that's not our decision.
And that's still seeping out of there. They have done nothing to block that. Not a bit have they done to block it. I'm just saying, I have presented this to the EPA and the DEP. There is a way of blocking these chemicals and whatever's in the ground from coming any further in the town. It's called an iron curtain. It would be a heck of a lot cheaper than all the stuff that they're doing to prevent this, that, and the other thing. And I don't want the ground to be capped and more industry or whatever go in there. So I am very much against this being changed from open space residential to commercial.
Okay.
I'm appalled to that.
Right, so
And I want to go on record
Okay.
saying that.
I'm just going to answer your concerns you have there. Again, it's private property. We
I
have
know.
no say what they do, but you're misleading the public, I think, in saying that stuff is still coming off the property. According to the EPA and the DEP, it is not coming off the property. I can only go, please don't talk from the audience. I can only go by the offices that are doing that. I do not make that decision. I can only go by what the EPA and the DEP tell me.
I understand.
So that's all I can go by.
And I'm just telling you, all we have is the fox monitoring the hen house.
I understand.
We have only DuPont's testing. That is all we have. We don't have proof that there's no chemicals coming off of there. Acid Brook got recontaminated, and they had to do that over again. So I can't believe that property is going to be clean and nothing's coming off. You can't possibly tell me that after all the years that they were up there doing this. But I just want to go on record
That's fine.
saying that
And you know,
I
you can
don't
always
want...
talk to the EPA tomorrow.
Yes.
With your same concerns, which I would if I was you.
Okay. And then another thing, the roads. Our roads are in bad shape.
They are.
I don't know who's responsible for the north end where it's from Lake to Park. Is that a county?
On Colfax, you're talking?
Yeah.
So Colfax is half county and half ours.
Because
We're working out a deal right now with the county to pave the whole process, isn't that correct?
Well, no, right now, the county's going to do its portion of Colfax this year. We're going to pay Colfax in 2 separate cycles next year, 2020 and 2021.
which part are they doing? The county?
They're doing, the county owns your Jefferson.
Jefferson
Yes.
down? Okay.
So, and let me just address one other thing. This council has decided, and no previous councils and mayors have done it, to put money aside every year for road improvements of our own roads, because we agree with you. Some of the roads have been neglected over many years, and you can't do them all at once.
No.
So we're putting 200,000, is that correct? 200,000 every year. We had an engineer come out and identify the worst roads to the best, and we're going to just start going through the list of the roads and try to get them done from year to year with putting money aside. Previous to that, there was no money ever put aside for roads, which was unfortunate. But moving forward, this is a way to address that, because I agree with you. Some of these roads are horrible. Now, just to add to that, I'm meeting with the freeholder on Tuesday, to have any concerns he has about Pompton Lakes with the county. And I'm going to lay into him saying every road coming into Pompton Lakes that's a county road is in horrible shape. You go across Lakeside Bridge, it's a mess.
Oh,
You
that's
go
a
across
mess.
Dawes Highway, it's a mess. Colfax is a mess. They need to be responsible for their roads, and they have to pave them. And if they can't, then they're going to have to answer to the residents who are saying, the roads are horrible.
Who would come out and fill them in the potholes?
The county is supposed to.
Because, I'm telling you, at night, it sounds like something is coming through my house when they hit the bump.
You can't always call the county and they'll put you on a list, and they're supposed to go through that list. How they do it, I don't know. We do it. We call all the time on county roads. But the county roads in general, and Ringwood Avenue, for example, when you make the turn onto Hamburg Turnpike, it's dented 2 feet down. Okay, it's horrible. We've called on that 3 times. I got them to pave the Lakeside Bridge. They paved up to the Oakland border and then stopped. I said, guys, you see the whole bridge is bad.
It's a mess.
Why would you stop at, she said, well, Oakland didn't ask us. But it's a county road. You could have paved the whole piece. Now, that being said, just so you know, after they're done with the bridge over here on Lakeside, they will be doing the bridge at Lakeside.
Jefferson.
Jefferson, the big bridge. So that will be a new bridge within the next, 5 months, 6 months?
Yeah, it's going to take a bit, about 5 or 6 months.
Okay. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the redevelopment. Okay? I know where the Salvation Army is. They're developing that property. They're going to put, is it 200?
No, 52.
52? Okay. They're going to put 52 apartments or whatever in there. Do you honestly think and I know I spoke to somebody and they said, oh, they're expecting business-type people that would commute to New York. We don't have a parking lot, so they would have to drive all the way to Wayne.
They're doing
to
that
get it.
now.
Plus, you got the parking going on in the pothole for them, okay? In the meantime, how many vacant stores do we have in this town? Over 20. We don't even have a shopping center.
So you don't think the vacant stores will be filled by people coming into town?
I don't really.
Well, that's
I think
proven
that we have to
contradictory.
put our efforts into finding people to move into these stores and open them
Doesn't
and
work
draw something. We have to do something. We can't have
So I'm going to ask you a
empty.
question. Every town around us, every town, has done redevelopment projects. Bloomingdale, that doesn't...
I'm not saying
Wait,
we
let me
shouldn't
finish.
do that. I'm not
Bloomingdale doesn't have a downtown. They did 260 units. They sold them out in 6 months, rentals, okay? They're building a phase 2, okay? That's a lot of units for a small Bloomingdale.
I get that, but what I'm trying to say to you, I know we're trying to put another 200 units, okay, what are we gonna do on, Wanacue Ave there?
There will be some smaller projects.
Okay. Well, anyhow, why can't we do one project and see how that goes?
We don't do them, it's private property. We don't
Well,
do
we
them.
have a redevelopment, isn't it? That's,
No.
well, how is this all
So the
developing
private
going?
owners come to us and say, we'd like to build a project on this. We have to go through all our boards, and they have to okay it. All we do is okay what they're going to build. Like if a pizza place was coming in and they wanted to put a new pizza place in, we would make sure everything's correct.
Right.
Now, the only benefit we get out of this is a pilot payment in lieu of taxes. If that one building, and I'll use the Salvation Army, was collecting $40,000 in taxes, we'll probably over 30 years collect each year 89 or 90,000 more, or 90,000 total. So an extra 60,000 every year for 30 years.
But didn't I hear that, and this is hearsay, you can correct me, that they're building these apartments. If they don't all get rented, the people that own the building are only going to be taxed on what is rented. Is that true?
That's only true in the first 3 years, and then they have to catch up.
Okay. I know that you have passed the budget,
Yes.
right? And we're all getting another increase in our taxes.
Well, let's talk about that increase.
But-
Our increase is $21.
Okay, but still, I heard that we have to pay the taxes on the A&P building? A portion of it?
We don't pay the taxes.
That is included for, because it's,
They pay the taxes on the AP.
they do?
Yes.
Okay, well, then I was misled. Okay. Well, I just want to go on record to say that I do not want the zoning changed on the DuPont property. I want that property cleaned up. Ridgewood is suing DuPont for contaminating their water, okay? This is the only town that thinks DuPont's getting cleaned up. And believe me, I don't want to say user in the cloud, but they aren't doing it.
Okay.
I believe that.
Thank you.
This town is not cleaned up, and that site is definitely not cleaned up.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anyone else from the public? Uh-oh, she's taking her coat off. This is going to get serious.
Just some misconceptions that I'd like to go over. Most of you there know who I am. I'm a
Well, you gotta say who you are.
resident. I am a resident, Michelle Belfiore, 21 Cedar Street. Yes, I live in the north end of the plume. I've been a Realtor for 41 years. Been involved in a lot of development, was involved in Beacon Hill, was involved in Down Village. One of the things, I'm not against the 50 apartment, and I'm going to tell you why. My company, which is located in Oakland, we did 272 rentals last year.
Where, in what town?
Oakland, well, all over.
All over, okay.
All over. There is a need for housing. I did not object about the building. What I was a little upset with was the parking, because I think it's going to be a nightmare.
I agree with you.
But that being said, in order to bring businesses into this town, you need the demographics. There isn't a business entity that I deal with, or when I'm involved in selling a building, whether it was the train station, the Celtic, right now involved with where the sporting store is, that building is under contract. Every would-be landlord, new landlord, wants the demographics. And one of the, how I got to sell that building was because I used the 52 units, because that's going to bring bodies into the town. It's going to bring people into the stores. In order for businesses to thrive in any healthy community, you need the demographics. Now, do we like development? No, everybody would like to be, I'd like it to be the way it was back in 1977 when I moved to this town. I picked this town over Oakland, okay? Which I picked myself because I live in a plume. I've lost value on my home. But, at the same token, it was thriving back then in the 70s. We had Gelmans, we had singers, I could walk to town. It was a downtown. Being a former New Yorker, I was used to walking out my door and going to a store and being there. So I took Pompton over Oakland that had septics and had no real downtown. So there was a value. In order for us to continue to have value in the town, you need new construction. The town is tired looking. They've tried over the years with the lighting and the sidewalks. I think twice we did the sidewalks in my lifetime here. And I hate DuPont. You all know I hate DuPont, okay? Do I agree with the zoning of recreation? I was here. I was part of the master plan redevelopment when that got zoned recreational because that John Merrin, the mayor at the time, thought, oh, golf course. I said, there'll never be a golf course. There'll never be a windmill.
Hotel.
A hotel. It was, and that's how that got zoned. And it was the worst zoning for that property. We are never, not the EPA, not the DEP, and I'm speaking from experience in other towns like Clifton and Garfield where there is just as much contamination from major corporations that it'll never get cleaned up. Get your heads out of the sand. I don't care how much they do, it'll never be cleaned up. The contamination under my house will be there for 100 years. I don't care how much it's sucking out. It's going to be there. So, we like the town. I haven't moved out of the town. My daughter bought in this town because she believed in the town that she grew up with. We need to move forward. We need to bring entities to help our tax bases. If it's DPW right now, you talk about, well, contamination, recycle. The DPW is next to a grammar school. That's not kids go in and out of there all year long. I get that. Okay.
No talking from the audience, please.
So, I'm not against DuPont being developed if they do it in sections, they cap it, or whatever, because industrial parks all over, that's what they're doing. In East Orange, in Edison, that's the name of the game. That's what the EPA and the DEP is going to accept. The longer we don't try to do something with that property, the taxes are going to just continue to go up. You need commercial. We need the redevelopment that after a while, it's improved, the improvement value goes up in the building, the taxes go up.
So we're agreeing with you in some points in that we're looking to raise the square footage cost to the businesses that are there now. The way we're going to raise that, and it's very low, I'm not going to lie, it's very low.
I know that.
Okay? One of the ways we've seen, and it's worked in models all around us, look at Wanacue. They built the Grand there. How many apartments is that? It's, 500 maybe?
Yeah.
Okay?
575.
People are so happy up there, they're fighting to get in there. I have seniors coming to me from the South End saying, if you can get these apartments built, I will sell my house in the South End. I'm done fighting. I'm too old to fight this. I love this town. I will move into those apartments. So, there's a lot more going into this. Now, here's the key that everyone needs to understand. We are not going to be the downtown we were in the 70s.
No.
No town is going to be the town they were in the 70s.
But nor is Ridgewood. Ridgewood is more eateries and restaurants and takeouts than ever before. Why? They don't want the empty storefronts. They have the demographics of the people getting off the train, and it's no different. People can walk from Iron Forge to the 52 units to whatever apartments are being built above the storefronts to walk downtown and go eat, go to Monica's, go to Cardinal Cafe.
To the theater, which is a big draw.
Right, and the Cardinal Cafe is expanding into a beautiful, they bought Celtics, and it's going to be a beautiful cafe. That's what people, the 52 units, and the more people you bring, then you put up little shops. And, the sporting, they will come. That's what you're not understanding. I've been doing this, guys, for 40 years. I've seen towns, look at Wanacue, New Jersey. Excuse the expression? One horse town. There was nothing there.
If anybody's from Wanacue here, I'm taking it.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking my piece. Look at it today. Look at it today. You have the reserve, and you have a downtown. Newark, they won the grant, and they invested. So when I go to Wanacue, and I have a buyer in the car, and they see that, and they see the CVS, and I go to the Wanacue Reserve, it's all a positive effect. We have to be in a positive mode to bring people. We're not going to change DuPont. You guys know, I've been on the CAG, I've been on the PLR. I'll fight it to the day I die. But at the end of the day, I need to leave this town better for my grandchildren are being raised in it.
That's what we all...
Okay,
Okay?
no-
So I need the tax bases to be better.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
So just to follow up a little bit, I don't want to drag this out into a whole redevelopment meeting, but what was just mentioned is the plan. The plan is to bring in younger adults who unfortunately, and I have a lot of them living in my house as kids, they don't want to buy a house anymore. They want to rent an apartment, they want to be close to transportation, they want to have someplace to eat where they can walk, they'll maybe go to a bar and drink, and they want to keep it local. If you have been to Morristown, I tell you to go to Morristown and take a look. That was a ghost town 20 years ago. It was one of the worst towns in New Jersey. It was dangerous, you couldn't walk the streets. Now it's a place they can't get enough apartments built in there for people to come in there. It's a thriving place. That's why we hired the gentleman who rebuilt Morristown to do Pompton Lakes, because he understands. And look, I get it. It's a good mix. I don't want to build into Morristown, okay? But we want to keep the charm of what we have here in Pompton Lakes. But to do that, we do need to expand a little bit and get in some apartments. I get asked weekly, do I know any rentals in town? Weekly. You know, and I'm not talking about a one-bedroom. They're looking for 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. We have a great school system. People want to come to the school system. They're looking for that. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. Thank you. Anyone else would like to address? Please step forward.
Just a quick question.
You're never quick. Go ahead.
This is quick.
Sandro Mancini, 40 Durham Street, Pompton Lakes. By changing the zone, does that affect the taxes on that property?
No. So,
If it's the same?
I'm going to whisper this so DuPont doesn't hear this, but unfortunately, or fortunately, DuPont is paying more than they should in taxes.
They're not paying enough.
I agree with you. But by law, by statute,
Right.
it should be about half of what they're paying right now. They are still, to this date, paying more than they should. This will not affect them in any way. But I am nervous, I'm not going to lie, that one day, 10 years, 5 years, tomorrow, DuPont comes forward and says, we want to pay the taxes we're supposed to pay on the property. That's a big hit for a small town like this.
Right. And the other question I have is, that you want to move the recycling center up there?
Not yet, but that's...
Well, if you're talking about it, think about the people who are going to be working there, that their health problems or whatever. And also, too, by moving them up there, you're taking the tax base away from them, because you're taking that property over.
Well, yeah, but we would have to pay taxes on it, but the problem is we would have...
Yeah, we will, but they won't.
No, but we have our property that we can then sell for something else down at the south end.
Well, who's going to buy that property up
You'd be
there?
surprised.
Really? Okay, that's it.
Now, let me talk about the DPW moving a little bit, too.
Okay.
The DPW building itself...
Thank you.
Thank you. Is in very bad ways. The building is old, it hasn't, a lot of money hasn't been put into it. It would cost us a fortune to bring it to where it should be. So if we're going to make a move, now's the time to make the move, to get them in a better facility. I will tell you, this council has just decided to do all our mechanics. We did a shared service with Bloomingdale. We were normally sending out all our DPW trucks, our police cars, our fire trucks, individually to places to have mechanical work done. It was very expensive, because we can't put a mechanic shop in our DPW the way it is. So now we've reached out to Bloomingdale, who has a full mechanic shop there with trained mechanics, with all the updated equipment. We pay them a shared service fee, all our trucks go up there and get serviced. We're saving a ton of money, and by talking to the guys, they're very happy with that project. Those are the kind of things we have to think about moving forward. Our taxes are too high. I'm not going to lie. Our taxes are too high. We have to figure out ways to go around this. The state is not helping us with this, by the way. You know, the state is basically saying, you figure it out on yourself. Okay? They're not giving us any money like they used to. They're not giving us any help. So we have to come up with ways. Redevelopment is a way. Shared services is a way. It's not a perfect system. There's going to be bumps in the road. Let me tell you, there's going to be bumps in the road. But at the end result, I truly believe, and maybe I'll be thrown out of town 5 years from now, but I truly believe it'll be better for Pompton Lakes. Any other question? People? Step up.
Randy Hitton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just for clarification, and Kevin had said that, but just to make it understood, is that it is County Road from Jefferson to Wanacue Ave, but from Jefferson to the Oakland line.
To the Oakland Road.
The county portion.
From Jefferson to the Oakland
Yeah,
line
it's a county road.
is town road.
I thought it was a county.
No,
It's the other way around.
the other way around.
Okay.
From Jefferson to Wanacue Ave is county. From Jefferson to the Oakland line.
That might be
is
true.
Borough Road. So where Helen Martin lives is Borough Road. So if she's having problems with potholes, maybe Councilman Giaconetti can talk to DPW, and
Yes.
he's our liaison, and send them over there to fix Mrs. Martin's pothole.
And one of the things I'm going to ask the freeholder, instead of having these split roads, half county, half of us and half of the county, why don't we take all of Colfax and you take another split road on the other end of town, and you're responsible for plowing and paving and taking care of that, and we're responsible for one road on the other end, so it's not split like that. Because it's not fair to residents when they see half a road get done, they're saying, where's my half? How come you didn't do my half?
Same with plowing.
Plowing, same thing, yes.
Same with plowing. I didn't make the last meeting, but I saw it on Channel 77. And boy, did I see you guys were all smiling through the whole meeting.
Why?
I don't know why, because maybe I was on vacation. But, I watched the meeting.
We were thinking
Who's
about
Frank smiling?
how much enjoyment you were having.
We always smile.
You were happy that I was on vacation. Yeah. But I was watching it, it was a discussion on the budget,
Okay.
right, on the 2019 budget. And, just a curious question, is the A&P Shopping Center on a pilot?
No,
It's not.
it's not.
Okay, so in the reading that Councilman Vennon so eloquently read, he said that the 2019 budget, second tied to the revaluation, impacted a loss of ratables once again due to normal tax appeals and the vacant A&P property. What does the vacant A&P property have to do with if they're not a pilot program?
So what happened is the A&P, the owners of the mall, fought their taxes, and they won. And it was a large number, it was millions. So that devalued our tax numbers, because if they were paying 20 and now they're paying 15, or whatever the number is, I don't know the number.
So really, in a tax appeal?
The A&P Shopping Center was valued at $32 million. They received a $10 million tax reduction to $22 million.
Not from us, from the county,
From the county?
the court.
From the court, okay.
So that meant that rateable value on that property was reduced by $10 million. That $10 million alone impacted this budget by roughly a tax point.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's no pilot.
All right, yeah, because I didn't know that. Thank you for informing me.
Well, now you know.
And I was just thinking the only way
is
to...
because the A&P shell itself is vacant. After the whole development is vacant, the A&P is vacant.
Yeah, just the AP building.
And that has a very large impact on the whole overall assessment of the property.
So the A&P, just so you get an idea, I think it's $70,000 a month rent, something like that, some crazy number, okay? And you can ask Kathy, their square footage over there compared to downtown is almost double what downtown is. Yet, and I get complaints from the owners in those malls all the time, it's so expensive to work, yet they're staying there. But that evaluated number that's high also works to their advantage when they go fight their taxes, because they're going to say, but the other side of town is half the number. And I think that's what happened over there. He has not given up on a supermarket, but it's not an easy sell.
No.
You know, we're trying.
Oh, I know you guys are trying. You were talking about hiring an engineer to evaluate the roads?
We did already, right?
It's all being done already.
It's all being done already?
The south end of town was done, and we're going to do north end of town.
Okay, well, at what cost is that engineer? Who is the engineer?
Ferraro.
Ferraro.
As part of our engineer contract. Yeah.
Oh, it's part of his contract. Okay, good.
And I think your road was higher up there, wasn't it?
His
My
road's
road-
getting done this spring.
Somebody's been fighting for Montclair Ave for, I think, the last 6 years.
But if you're questioning your engineer, it's going to the bottom of this now.
No, it's already bid out.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? No, we're only taking one question.
One thing, you were saying that it was a county road and now it's not, it's a town road. So you were saying then that wouldn't be done till next year?
Well, two parts. It's gonna be done in two phases.
It's gonna be up?
I'm not remember which way Helen said it should be. It's going to be 2 phases. I have to check. I don't know if that.
But if there's a pothole issue, Frank, would you please call?
Between Lake and
All right.
and,
Frank will call.
There's a ton of them.
Either way, we will fix the potholes.
I'll let the DPW know.
Would you like to come forward, please? Oh, boy, everybody's clarifying today.
Elevator listening and record Pompton Lakes. I grew up in this town for many, many years myself. I was born and raised here, and from what my parents told me who lived on Colfax Avenue between Perrin and Wakeway, Colfax Avenue was a dirt road when it got to Oakland. It ended and turned into a one-lane dirt road into Oakland. That's why the county road comes from Wanacue Ave down to Jefferson. You make the right on Jefferson and you go across the Jefferson Avenue Bridge to US Route 202, which is Terhune Drive. All county roads connect with other county roads or state roads. Right, so that's why that road comes down to Jefferson and ends there, because there was nothing to go to back in the 40s and 50s until they opened that up to Oakland. So my conversation with the mayor as well was that we should get the county to take over the entire length of Colfax, because it now connects with a roadway coming from Bergen County, which is a main thoroughfare. We should not give up, in my opinion, any section of a county road, even if it be that section that's borough right now, because that's a good stretch to pave. That's not a cheap project, I'm sure. We should try to take maybe some county roads that are off the beaten path and don't see the wear and tear
Yes, I agree.
on them.
So we get less.
So we get more bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You want to ask?
Yeah, just to add what Al Evangelista just said. There was a time when the borough of Pompton Lakes was going to make a deal with the county. Cannonball Road is a county road. They were going to improve it to a point where the borough would take it over, and then they would take over the rest of Colfax Avenue. The borough was not satisfied with what they did with Cannonball Road, and that never happened. So there at one time was a deal to make that happen. It never happened.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Councilman Devine, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes of February 27, 2019. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Council President Riker, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims as listed below. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Petitions, we have none. Consent agenda, whenever you're ready.
Does anyone wish to have any?
Can we,
Go forward.
can we pull resolution 19-78?
78. Wow, only one. Go ahead.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes should review the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions. Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved, the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 1979, and we're removing 1978.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as changed?
So moved.
Council President Riker, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, resolutions 19-78.
Authorizing the submission of application for Passaic County Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust on Willow Field Improvement Project.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Devine, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? Discussion?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say was I wanted to thank Kevin for the presentation. I wanted to thank our engineers. I wanted to thank our Open Space Committee. We have been in discussion on this particular project for at least about a year and a half. It's gone through iterations, it's gone through discussion, and I think as a result, the project may not be everything that everybody wants out of it, but I think it is a better project for what it's become because of the conversations we have had at the committee level. As a result, I ask that the council pass this resolution so we can apply for funding.
Good. Any other discussion?
Well, I would just concur with what the councilman said.
Okay.
I mean, we had tons of discussion. heard back and forth, some people that were against the reasoning, different trees being moved, everything else. I think it's a project that definitely should move forward. I think we had enough discussion on it, and I think it needs to be done. Let me go on with this, put the application in.
Okay. Can I have a motion? So I second, all in favor? Or do you want a roll call?
A roll call.
Roll call?
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Bay.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilman Giacometto.
Yes.
Councilman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Riker.
Yes.
Okay, when you're ready, ordinances for first reading.
This ordinance will be presented for final adoption on March 27th. Ordinance 19-12, bond ordinance appropriating $1,600,000 and authorizing the issuance of the borough for various improvements or purpose authorized to be undertaken by the borough of Pompton Lakes in the county of Passaic, New Jersey.
Motion to approve ordinance 1912 for introduction.
So moved.
Councilman Bay?
Second.
Councilman Deline? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Bay.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilman Giacometto.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker.
Yes.
Ordinance for second reading and final adoption. This ordinance has been advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 19-11, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank according to state statute.
Can I have a motion to open the meeting? Well, let's have a little discussion first, just to...
This ordinance, we discuss this every year, is really a procedural ordinance for helping with our long-term finances. The cap is 2%. This ordinance technically will allow you to go to 3.5%, which we never normally do. And then it allows the bank that additional difference. So right now, we have a cap bank of close to $500,000. So if there are years where things are much tougher, you'd have some flexibility within that cap, 2% cap to make the budget work. So this is really a procedural ordinance introduced every year for the same purposes.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-11?
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori, Councilman Giacometto, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this one? Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-11?
So, second.
Council President Riker? Did you want to talk? Yeah, I saw you fooling around. Can I get a second?
Second.
You?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett? Motion to approve ordinance 1911 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman
Second.
Begg?
Second.
Councilman Giacometto? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Bay.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilman Giacometto.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, under my report, I attended the cancer benefit by Mary Ann Morton. She always does Mary Beth Morton. She always does a fantastic job. It's a fun event. It's one of the more enjoyable events I like going to because it's a good mix of people and it's a lot of fun. And she raises money for a good cause. So, you know, I think over the last 20 years, she's raised over 200,000. Is that correct? Is that the number? Something like that. It's a large number, so it's a lot of work. So I thank her for putting that on. We have an emergency awareness seminar March 20th. I've just been informed it's at 7 o'clock. That's a great event, especially for new residents who are concerned about how things go when we have flooding. Knock on wood, we haven't flooded this year, but our rivers are high, the dams are filling. Let's hope we have a nice dry spring. So it will be, I just was informed, we'll have a 10 o'clock session in the morning for anybody who would like to come at 10 o'clock, and we'll also have another session at 7 o'clock. So keep that in mind. We had our CTO counterparts today, which basically is kids from the high school take all our positions here. They get a feel for what we do, and then they come up with their own agenda, their own plans, their own resolutions. I will tell you, in the last couple of years, we've used some of their plans in our own thought patterns as we move forward. They always see it from a different perspective, which is great to see. So I welcome them. We have our recreational egg hunt, Easter egg hunt, April 14th. Rain date, April 20th, at the tennis courts, starting at 3 p.m. We have one of our own residents, Tommy Scala, who has sung with America's Got Talent and X Factor, doing a little local event here in town at the Elks Lodge on March 23rd from 6 to 11:30. It's a pasta dinner where he'll be singing. It's always nice to see someone from Pompton Lakes get out there and represent us in the big bad world, so that's nice to see. I performed a couple weddings this week. I attended a Cub Scout bridging ceremony on Friday, which is always nice to see. You see these little kids, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going through the process, and then they, and our Boy Scout troop in town here is very active. They make every kid an Eagle Scout somehow, and I don't know how they do it, but they do it. So I see them at that age, and then I see them 5-6 years later, and they're getting their Eagle Scouts. So it's always impressive to see that, and it was an enjoyable event, and I thank them for that. I attended a benefit last night for Mallory's Army, which is the girl who was bullied in school, unfortunately. I think she was from Roxbury, very close, and took her own life with a suicide. She was 12 years old. The parents have taken a mission on to make the awareness of what happens and how girls get bullied at that age. They had a benefit last night that was supported by the police department, and they raised money for the event, and they also raised money for playgrounds that were destroyed through Sandy the storm and Sandy the shooting down in Connecticut. So it's always a good event. There were a lot of people there. I will tell you that we were the first town to recognize her here with a resolution, and from there she went statewide, and now she's got state politicians listening, and she's trying to make an actual new law in place called Mallory's Law. So all the help to her, and that is my report. Council President Ranker.
Thank you. I'll start. The mayor and I attended a redevelopment planning session. You've heard a lot of comments about redevelopment, and redevelopment is here, but it's a very slow process. And we met the other day with the planners and the lawyers and Kevin and many other people, and our executive director from who he had referenced who had come to us from Morristown, just to make sure, as the projects go forward, that everyone is on the same page. Last night, the Pride group met. Pride is our lake restoration group. They are going through a transition in that Steve Graber, who is honored here a few meetings ago, has moved to Pennsylvania, and Bernadette and Maria are co-chairing that now. What was special about last night's Pride meeting was that Solitude, that's the company that does the lake management, was there. They did a presentation, they answered questions, they did a tentative plan in terms of how to deal with the lake and keeping it clean and pristine. And Kevin, I was happy that Kevin was there, joined us, because that will help with the transition with Steve's departure. Valerie Call, who many of you know from the bid, has asked me to begin to spread the word to both the council and to the community in general. Apparently next year will be the 120th anniversary of the formation of Pompton Lakes, and she feels that it's something worth celebrating. She would like to have, it's very much in the formulative stage now, but her thoughts are that we would have some type of benefit fundraiser, a lovely evening tented event on the library lawn. She's asking me to announce it, just to get the word out and make people aware that that we do have this big anniversary coming up. She'd like to enlist the aid of all the groups in town, the council, mayor and council, and she's the one sort of spearheading this in terms of, if you have ideas, if you have thoughts, the things that she's presented to me. At this point, apparently, there was something that was done in the community of Hopewell, and she's using that as her initial template. She thought that might be very successful here as well. So please put your thinking caps on, get some ideas from friends and neighbors in other towns, and let's see what we can do to celebrate that. As was mentioned in a comment earlier, I was in the Cardinal Cafe this morning, and they have the sign up that says March 28th is when they're going to be closing their current location, and as if you've been on Wanacue Ave, you can see that they're moving down the street and going into new headquarters, and so we wish them much luck. I want to thank Liz. Liz gave us this is the time of year things get very, very busy. Snow is melting, spring has come, and the mayor listed a whole bunch of things, but Liz, thank you for that schedule of events just to try to keep us on track. I'm sure there'll be other things that come up, but at least we have a skeleton here. One thing I'd like to point out is some of us up here get what's referred to, this League of Municipalities is the professional group that all the towns and boroughs and cities in the state belong to, and a number of us get their monthly magazine. There was an article here that made me think of our community, and I wanted to mention it. I think it might impact, I think maybe Councilman Venin and others might have some information, extra information. They were discussing how Hanover Township has some very, very old cemeteries and what they're doing to protect them and make the people aware of them and bring and do whatever they can to make sure that they become an important part of the history. And apropos of our conversations earlier, I don't know if I'm not sure, does everyone get this?
I don't know.
Okay, if not, I'll make sure you see it, because I think it's is it your church that has the very old cemetery?
Yes.
That I thought that this would be something that would resonate with this community. The only other thing I have at this point, over the years, I've been nicknamed the council caterer, and we do have a Jewish holiday coming up a week from today. It's called Purim. Purim is a fun holiday. Sometimes it's nicknamed Jewish Halloween, but the thing that Purim is most known for is what's called Humintashen, and Humintashen are triangular-shaped hats. They mean, Humintashen means Haman's hat, and Haman is the evil character in the Purim story. And as has been my tradition, I usually bring Humintashen, and I knew we were going to have I thought we would have a big crowd today, so I bought a big container. So if you don't mind, take them, and we'll pass them down. And Kevin, when they get to you, there's enough for everyone in the audience, so. For this holiday, they say Hag Sameach, which just means a good holiday, and Mayor, I do need a closed session for, negotiations.
One closed session, please.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on the cemeteries, Passaic County, if I'm correct, right, gave a grant to fix the Reformed Church Cemetery, because we have some very old tombstones in there. It's the first time that the county has ever put money towards a site like that. So I was very impressed that they came and they went and toured the site and took a look at it, and are actually fixing up some of the grave sites. That's nice to see. Who's next? I didn't look. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Minor correction, Council President Reichert, in 2020, we'll be celebrating the 125th anniversary.
Oh, it's 125th? Thank you.
Next year in 2020.
How about it?
Thank you.
And then the Historic Commission has been discussing ideas, so we'll get,
And has Val come to you?
not that I'm aware of, so we'll get her in touch.
She's very active
With
in
the
the
new chair
bid,
of
so she
Historic-
would be
yes.
the person to reach out.
So we'll get them connected. I want to congratulate Paulette Roush on receiving the recognition. Both my daughters are in the Girl Scouts, and it takes a huge group of people, but a bunch of moms and at least one dad, Mike Foss, to be out there, but Paulette leads them all, and she does a fantastic job. I was approached by a resident to look into obtaining AEDs for our sports rec field. I believe there'd be 2 that we would look into purchasing, or assisting to purchase, and we're currently looking into ways of funding the purchase.
And from when Joe gets back, we'll need some more clearance on legally how that works. Do you know anything about those? You know, the
Defibrillators.
defibrillator?
Defibrillator?
Yeah. I don't know if there's responsibility involved with that, so we'll have to get
And
it.
the hospital, didn't the hospital indicate that they were, I was at a meeting with the president of Tilton a while back, and they seemed to be very interested in helping fund and supply.
And they might, I gave him that name.
So I was going to say, before we go out and buy them, I think they do have a
I think the mayor's some of the liability issue.
Right, I'm more worried about the
That we
liability.
use it, how to use it, so we don't.
Like,
create
does a
more
perfect
issues.
stranger go into a snack stand and grab this and use it on somebody, and then it's our
You're
snack
gonna need a
stand?
training program.
But how do you train all the parents?
You don't train all the parents, you train the coaches.
Okay, so that's what we need to work out.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
The Friends of the Pompton Lakes Library will be having a book sale on Friday, May 10th, Saturday, May 11th. Book donations will be accepted April 1st through April 30th. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bing?
Thank you. I attended the Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition meeting on February 28th. Coordinator Ashley Lucic reported that the coalition presented a program on vaping to the students at Pompton Lakes High School on February 14th. Coalition member Donna Andalora was invited by Congresswoman Nikki Sherrill to attend the Trump State of the Union address. Prior to the address, she had the opportunity to speak with Congressman regarding her story regarding mental health and addiction needs. She spoke of the need to recognize on a national level the need to fix the system to help finance and the needs of addiction parents for long-term treatment. The coalition is planning 2 town hall presentations, one on marijuana on April 11th, and the other on underage drinking, parents who host lose the most. And that'll be on May 16th. I attended the Pompton Lakes Board of Education on March 5th. Superintendent Paul Amoroso congratulated Luke Calamita on being named a Merit Scholarship finalist. Jim Cerula of the firm of Ferrioli Wolsick, Ceroli and Kuva presented the 2017-18 district audit report. They found the district to be in good financial shape. The audit recommended 3 minor corrections, paperwork, which the board approved the corrective action for. Dr. Vincent Polinsky, Pompton Lakes High School principal, Mr. Stephen Tarastano, and Mr. Michael Reardon gave a curriculum report regarding the humanities, English, world language, social studies. They spoke about the integration of technology in the curriculum, including more proficient use of Google Classroom. They also spoke about the emphasis on critical reading and writing analytically in preparing students for college and their careers. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad report for the month of February from Chief Sean Filippi. There were 117 calls for service for the month of February, 68 in Pompton Lakes, 23 in Riverdale, 14 duty calls in Wanacue. There were 76 medical emergencies, 7 trauma injury calls, 2 CPR calls, 10 motor vehicle calls, and 15 fire calls. Last night, I attended the Pompton Lakes Chamber of Commerce meeting. The Chamber welcomed 2 new members, Bob Dyer of Bob the Tech Guy, and Pablo Rivera of Pompton Cardinal Cleaning. The Chamber received correspondence from the Pompton Lakes Reformed Church advising of the free pancake breakfast on March 23rd, and that'll be from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. They also received a thank you note from St. Mary's Food Pantry for donations made. Elisa Di Cristina of Glow House Kids reported on her rewards program using e-blast every 4 weeks, promoting various Pompton Lakes businesses with discounts as a thank you program. President Art Kafka reported that Michael Corella is now doing the updates on the Chamber's marketing website, and that's my report.
Thank you. Just to follow up on what you brought, I don't know if everybody heard, each congressperson is allowed to bring 1 person to the State of the Union address. Our new councilwoman, Mickey Sherrill, decided to bring someone who is associated with Pompton Lakes. She works out of St. Mary's. Unfortunately, her son died of an overdose, and she's taking a mission upon herself to educate and inform everyone about the dangers of what's going on, which we all know, opiates. She lives in Wayne, but she works out of St. Mary. She comes to our Alliance meetings. Very impressive that they picked somebody from our town to represent at this national level. So that's kudos to that. And also, I attended the firemen's swearing-in ceremony, and we also have one of the oldest firemen in the state of New Jersey still on working. Al Backus, he's probably, 65 years he's been?
Yeah, 90 years old.
He's 90 years old. He's still active. It's pretty impressive to see him at the dinner. He was there. Everything's going well. It's just another thing that makes Pompton Lake stand out, so it's very nice to see. Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 28th, there was the Flood Advisory Board. A lot of the discussion of that meeting was the floodplain restoration plan that was prepared by Rutgers University. I believe all the council people at least got a draft version of it. Overall, the committee felt like it was a pretty good plan, needed some revisions in terms of the details, so comments were sent back to Rutgers to revise that study. Other items going on is, as I mentioned last meeting, this Saturday, March 16th, there's the Rain Garden Workshop being held at 12 p.m. at the Civic Center. Again, for those who have not been at the meeting, rain gardens are what's known as a form of green infrastructure. It collects rainwater, it slowly disperses the groundwater back into the groundwater and reduces runoff, which again has a positive impact on the levels on the river. Taken individually, it may not have a big impact. Being a systemic treatment, regardless of whether you're in the floodway or floodplain or outside of the flood zone altogether, it does have a positive effect. So there'll be some professional landscape architects there to provide some technical expertise, and I encourage anyone that is interested in doing something like that in their yard to attend. About a month from now, on Saturday, April 13th, there's going to be the first family hike of 2019 at Mount Hope Historical Park. We'll be meeting at 2 p.m. It's going to be a short hike. Again, this is generally geared towards families that have young children. They have the ability, so we don't make it too difficult for families with young kids. We're sort of rolling out into a sort of a theme of that's unplug and reconnect. So, we're trying to encourage people to step away from the TVs, the computers, things like that, get outside and reconnect with other families and other people out in the wilderness. So, looking forward to these family hikes coming up.
That's not a Spartan race that you're turning.
That is not a Spartan race. I promise I will not take anyone on a Spartan race unless they choose to come with me. But, leading to that, I also attended the March 5th, 2019 Board of Education meeting. From my perspective, and just to fill in a little bit on some of the humanities discussion, a lot of the discussion of the humanities, there was a little bit of a lesson plan, a lot of discussion on Generation Z, which is starting to become known as iGen. It's sort of the generation that follows the millennials, and generally they're considered people that were born between 1995 and 2014. They more or less came into the world with an iPhone in their hand. They're very comfortable with technology. Their inclinations and their trends, obviously they're younger at this point. They're basically starting to get to the point where they're learning to drive, but their inclinations are quite different than previous generations, and some of the things that they covered I thought was very interesting. This more relates to millennials, but when we talk about things like parking and parking spaces, especially in places like the Pond Hole and apartments that were gearing towards millennials and things like that, the age at which people are getting their driver's license, if at all, it's like it's falling off a cliff. I mean, 18-year-olds are just not getting their driver's licenses the way that they used to. They look at that vehicles and personal vehicles as more of an inconvenience, as a hassle, more than a method of freedom that I think previous generations looked at as untethering themselves from the house. They look at it as an expense, and someone who just dropped about $3,100 on car repairs over the last month, I can understand why. But they have different pressures. The pressure to succeed academically is way up. Social pressures via social media is up tremendously. Social isolation is up, particularly among girls. He pointed actually that it was lower among boys because they tend to play things like Fortnite and things like that. So maybe while they're not in the same room together, they're interacting with their friends in some fashion or another. Another thing I thought was interesting was, I guess some things like drinking, smoking, and doing drugs. The responses that they have pressure to do those kind of things, what we consider peer pressure, is actually tremendously down too. So there's not that same drive to, be cool with your friends and drink or smoke or things like that among this generation. And lastly, I just wanted to quickly discuss redevelopment and make a point, being that it is Women's History Month. There is a woman, I hate to say it, an author, but she wrote Death and Life of Great American Cities. Her name's Jane Jacobs. She's considered the preeminent urbanist, not just as a female, but in urbanism overall. And she had this saying that always sticks with me, and I think it applies to redevelopment in particular. And she said, it's not enough to drive people to downtowns, you have to put them there. So when we talk about building apartments and adding housing to our downtown areas, it's not just to recapture value in older buildings. There's a whole economic aspect of it too. It's a walking wallet. Somebody's going to walk downstairs from their apartment building, whether it's above a retail store or a standalone apartment building like Salvation Army, and they're going to go to that restaurant, and they're going to use these services, and they're going to drive other people to be interested in some of these vacant storefronts that people are concerned about. And that's why doing the kind of things that we're doing when it comes to redevelopment is important. And I think that's the clear vision of the council and what we're doing. So, when we talk about doing these projects, it's not just about the projects. It's not just about the pilots. It's filling these spaces. It's supporting our local businesses. It's supporting entrepreneurs. And it's driving an economy in a way that, while we can't compete with Amazons, they can't compete with Targets and Walmarts and things like that, but they can carve out their little sector of the economy, support small jobs, support small growth, feed their families, and do things like that. So that's why redevelopment and what we're doing is so important. That concludes my report.
Very true. I mean, that's another whole aspect that we don't talk about enough of what happened with redevelopment. I was at the school meeting also, very interesting about the new generational kids and what they're seeing, and it's just completely backwards from what we saw as adults. So it's very interesting. If you ever get a chance to read it, it's interesting information. Councilman Giacomelli.
I just wanted, that night, is that the night they put the lights on in the field?
Yes.
Beforehand? Yeah, so I don't know if people seen that, the lights were on.
They put them on, just so we straighten that out. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
They put the lights on because they had a Board of Ed meeting. There was no events going on there, but they wanted to show the public what the lights would look like on. I did take a chance to walk around the field to see what they were. From the double yellow line in the middle of the road to the left, you can't really see the lights on. From the right, you can. The field will be used quite often, though, at night. I don't want residents to think this is going to happen every Tuesday or something. It's pretty much used every night until about 8:30. Lights go off automatically at 10 to 9. No matter what's going on, it's computer generated. It's not someone putting a switch. So no matter what's going on the fields, they will go off. The lights will not be on if nobody is playing there. So that was another question I got often. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I just walked by the other day, you had softball was out there, plus you had lacrosse, both of them using it. I mean, it was packed with the afternoon from the high school, so this field's going to get a lot of use. I was already told it's halfway booked already.
It's booked every night almost.
Booked every night
Sunday
almost.
and Fridays. Right through Friday.
Right, yeah, exactly, so that's good, we'll get some use out of it. I wanted to also congratulate Paulette Rouse. It was a wonderful presentation. It's good that she's maintaining the minds of all these young women, young girls that become women, and it's great she's doing that. It's good to see that. My daughter was involved with that. Of course, she's older now, but, you miss those days, they go fast, so, but congratulations to her. I attended the Board of Health meeting. Wasn't too much to discuss. We are continuing with the schedule on the stigmatization, meetings on that, stigma-free rather, and that's proceeding along. Louis, that's our Inspector did several inspections of some businesses, random. Everything so far so good.
Good.
With the local businesses, so he goes out there randomly. He started that now. He doesn't tell them. He shows up, So most of the things were good. I had maybe one or two, just how maybe wear gloves and just maybe do this and that. So it was very minimal, which is nothing. So he reported a good report back. Attended the Shade Tree Commission meeting. The total hours for the Shade Tree, last month were 32 hours of volunteer hours. Also, Liz put it here, but to let the rest of the council know and the public, on the April 24th meeting, right, the Arbor Day, I think it was confirmed by you. April 24th, we're going to have Arbor Day here at the council. They're going to have the children from the various, Lincoln, Lenox, and I think even St. Mary's, having their little, give their little speeches on, something about Arbor Day that means to them. Huh?
Yes.
The essays, thank you, the essays. So that's April 24th, all right, right before the council meeting, so just to let everybody know. Also, the Shade Tree wanted to thank the DPW. We had a big tree limb, the last snowstorm that came down approximately 71 Schuyler Ave. All right, and our guys went out there, they did a great job, cleaned it up. I even had Randy and Pete went out there, and that tree's going to be put on removal list. It's a pretty big tree, but that's going to be put on the removal list for this year, be taken care of. But wanted to thank the DPW in the hindsight for cleaning that up and taking care of that, getting that out of the road. Also, attended coffee with the council for a little bit, talked to a couple residents that night. Mayor and I had a good conversation, so it was a good night there. And the last thing is the CTO day. The mayor brought it up, but before the next council meeting, the children, or young adults, are going to have a mock council meeting. So it'll be on Monday, 7 p.m. here. And it's usually no more than an hour, but you'll see them, being us, the mayor, who's the mayor, and they'll give their own council meeting, and they'll come up with this, and it's usually a nice event. Like I said, it's an hour of your time, maybe come out and see. 7 o'clock on Monday, the 25th of March. Because the meeting after our council meeting will be after that Wednesday. So if you don't know, you won't get to know us. So people out there, if they want to come see it, they come see it. It's usually good time.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Just to follow up on the stigma-free, we did have another meeting on that. It was well attended. There will be some training going on to our officers, our fire department, maybe our EMS. So we're moving forward with the training on that. Councilwoman Palabori.
Thank you. I also want to thank and congratulate Paulette for all her hard work with the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts were a very important part of our family through my daughter growing up. She started in 4th grade and stayed with it all the way through high school graduation. She became very close to her 2 troop leaders. I know without a doubt that definitely had a positive impact on shaping who she became throughout her high school years, and I know that she stayed very close to both of them to this day. So it is an amazing organization, and that was a wonderful presentation, especially in light of the fact that this is Women's History Month. On Monday, I also did attend Coffee with the Council. This was our first attempt at moving it into an evening from 5 to 7 so that we could accommodate more of the residents. The council was able to get there in shifts. Some of us had other liaison responsibilities. I had to leave for the MUA. I know you had to leave for first aid. So some of us were able to get there from 5 to 6 and 6 to 7. So I think that worked out a little better. So we are doing it again on the 8th of April, again from 5 to 7 at Starbucks. So we encourage you to come out. It was nice to see some of the residents join us. Just to go back on some of the rec programs that are currently happening, we still are offering the Get Fit program on Monday and Wednesdays, and yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays, in addition to the other clinics that we have. All the information for those programs can be found on the Pompton Lakes Recreation Facebook page. There are a few open volunteer positions that I want to bring your attention to. Karen is currently looking for someone to fill the role of director for the Pompton Lake Family Meetup. That's a group that gets together for parents with young children that might not be in school yet, so they have an opportunity to do activities together and meet each other. There is also an opening for an instructor for the volleyball league that they would like to start. We are looking for volunteers for Pompton Day and an individual that will be able to run the tennis program. Also, now in the hallway, applications are available for camp counselors. You must be at least 15 years of age when going into your sophomore year. Interviews will be held in May. And again, to reiterate what the mayor had mentioned earlier, the Easter egg hunt is Sunday, April 14th at 3 p.m. at the Hirschfield Tennis Court with a rain date of April 21st. And then I just want to give a final number on something we had talked about in the last meeting through the Women's Club. Thanks to the effort of Jennifer Kane, we were able to conclude, she did extend it for another week through the first week of March, but she was able to, for Souls for Souls, which is a collection of gently used shoes for men, women, and children, her final number was 1,142 pairs of shoes. So that was a tremendous effort by both Jennifer and the residents. So we do want to, on behalf of the Women's Club, thank everyone that did drop shoes off to her. The Women's Club is meeting next Wednesday at Thatcher's for their international outreach group. We meet monthly for an international dinner. We're celebrating St. Patrick's Day this month. Information for that can also be found on the Pompton Lakes Women's Club Facebook page. I did also attend the cancer benefit, which was a lovely night, so I want to thank Mary Beth for another year of all of her hard work for such an amazing cause. And also, outside of Pompton Lakes, another organization that I belong to is Habitat for Humanity. So in honor of Women's History Month, they did kick off the month on the 1st with their Women Build Media Day, which is a day for women build organizations all over the country to get together and do a work day. And it's usually there's usually a presentation by local dignitaries that come out and talk about the efforts on behalf of women in the organization, and then you're invited to stay and build on site. And the current project is in Washington Township, and it is 4 units for veterans and seniors. So that was a really nice way to start off Women's History Month. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Professional reports.
Oh, I have a motion.
You have a motion.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the request for Lakeside Middle School to close a portion of Lakeside Ave from Van Ave to Mandeville Street for the 8th grade awards ceremony scheduled for Monday, June 17th of 2019, with a rain date on Tuesday, June 18th of 2019, from 6:15 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., and to make Van Avenue between Lakeside Avenue and Lenox Ave a one-way street through the hours of 6 to 8:30 p.m. The police, fire, and first aid will be notified.
That was, second. Second. Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, thank you. Professional reports. Do you have any professional report?
No professional report tonight.
Okay. Administrator.
Yes, Mayor, I provided the governing body with a copy of my report last week. Let me just kind of go through highlights. We're going to be taking bids or quotes on March 22nd for our tree planting as part of our CSIP grant. As you know, we took the quotes end of last year. Unfortunately, they were above our budget, and so we've retooled the trees and the cost of the trees. Hopefully, we will meet the budget and be able to deal with the state grant. Our GIF, we're part of the Morris County Municipal Junior Insurance Fund. The GIF was offering communities a chance to buy an additional $10 million worth of liability coverage. I took the opportunity to say yes. So for $10 million of liability coverage, it costs about $2,224. So I thought that was a nice bang for your buck in terms of coverage. Now I think our liability is $50 million now of liability coverage. We are going to be meeting this Thursday with Representative Farrow Engineering and Jerry Gioso to discuss the parking element to the pond hole. As you know, we finalized the design concept to actually redo the pond hole, redo the drainage, and so we're going to try to discuss the parking layout. So we're going to go out to bid this winter and have the improvements done to the pond hole. So it kind of ties in with the finalization of Salvation Army a year or so down the road.
That's next Thursday, correct?
Next Thursday, yeah. If you recall, last year we applied to FEMA for potentially reimbursing us for the trees that went down mostly in the Wanakee River. We were rejected. They actually formally sent us a rejection letter, and we have that relative to the removal. They really didn't have a feeling a lot of those trees came down during the storm. A whole bunch of this and that.
We didn't get anything?
So we get
Not for the trees.
and it costs us about $30,000 to do that work all this year. So at this point in time, most of the trees are out of the rivers. We're going to try to start doing shoal and outfall work this year, since we really addressed the trees last year. So we're kind of a year behind from where we want to be based upon the permit. We're applying for the distracted driver grant through the state. That's going to tie into our program this fall with trans options relative to students and pedestrians in crosswalks. So that's the grant we're applying for there. We'll also be receiving bids for electric facilities. All of our buildings, we bid out, work for all buildings. We have lighting problems, street lighting problems, and that bid will be coming in April.
Now, I was asked, the first aid was not part of that, right? First aid building?
No.
No.
Okay, was there a reason they were left out, or?
Yeah, I spoke with Kevin about that.
Well, that's two different issues. The first, we never maintained the first aid building.
Okay.
So that's the one issue. The second issue is relative to the first aid building and the PSCNG grant.
Yes.
We don't pay for lighting. You have to have a lighting account with either PSCNG or Jersey Central or a gas account. We don't have carry those accounts. So that's why it's not done. Montclair Ave, as was noted, that bid is going to go out on April the 4th. That's also a DOT project, $220,000 toward that. And lastly, we met today with the DOT. They're going to be, they and West W are going to be doing the railroad crossing at Schuyler Ave, and there will be a complete closure of that roadway starting in early May for 5 days as they do that crossing.
A real 5 days or a fake 5 days?
They're hoping it's 5 days. They're hoping they're going to bring the material in on Sunday, start the project Monday, and have the project on Thursday, so you have to open up on Friday. They give themselves that leeway depending on weather. Is that hopefully a 5-day work period.
Okay. Any questions for the administrator?
Can you give us a Summit Avenue update?
The drainage was put in today, and they were going to, they said to me, they'll be able to maybe potentially open up the road and remove some of the debris from where it was. So I asked the chief, after the project was done today, when they left the site, and not coming back for a couple of weeks, if we can open the road. So he had to get back to the chief on that. But the drainage was completed today.
They completed it. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
And just one mentioning about the first aid squad. I did pass on to them the information that Kevin gave me, so they can apply for the grant.
Okay, good. Okay, Kevin, a motion to open the meeting for public comments. So moved. Councilman Devine?
Second.
Councilman Brennan, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Step up, please.
Randy Hitton, 443 Montclair Ave. There was a special meeting tonight at 6:30?
What, I'm sorry.
Special meeting tonight at 6:30 on...
Yes.
Was there any results of that? I wasn't able to make the meeting.
No. What we decided is we put a committee together of council that will meet with them and discuss some options.
The them is the synagogue?
Yeah, they have to go back to their membership to discuss some ideas.
Well, we appreciate all that the synagogue
Sure.
want to donate to the town.
That's beautiful. I mean, we definitely want it.
Yes. Just recently, the end of third week of February, Saddle River had their first management cull of white-tailed deer, which is approved by Fish and Wildlife and the Saddle River Mayor and Council. 135 deer were removed with no incidents to the public or to private property. So I
That's good.
just wanted to make that.
Saddle River.
Saddle River?
Yeah, and the article also indicated that Saddle River has a minimum of two acre lots.
Well, I don't think we have that many.
I don't think we do either.
Okay.
That's true. Also, there was a mention about Hanover Township.
Yes,
They also have a cull,
they have
a deer cull.
Yes, they have a lot of...
I don't know about,
They
I
have
don't
a lot
know
of
their
open
minimums.
space.
Yeah.
A lot of farmland.
Just mention it.
Different community units.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Please step up.
Televangelist Emergency Management. Mayor, I just want to come up to say thank you to the council. You probably don't hear that enough. But it's unfortunate that our residents don't know what goes on at these meetings and what goes on behind the scenes to make things happen and keep our town safe. For example, the ordinance tonight that was passed, there's money in there again for river work, in particular the outfalls and things of that nature. And, you know, we've been good the last couple of years with our situation in the rivers with flooding and so forth. We've come close, but we dodged the bullet. but it's all because of the hard work of a lot of people, the Flood Advisory Board, and I want to mention the Shade Tree Commission as well. This recent wind event that we had several weekends ago, we had 40 to 50 mile an hour winds with 60 mile an hour gusts. And we did not have, and correct me if I'm wrong, we did not have one tree come down in the public right away that I'm aware of. Now, the tree on Schuyler Ave, that was snow weight. A lot of people complain that a lot of damage was done in their yards from the snow weight. It's that typical March heavy snow that clings to the trees that brings them down. But when I looked at the JCP&L report of power outages in the area, Pompton Lakes was listed, but it had virtually none. I think we had 2 or 3 where the line came down between the pole and the home, which is not our responsibility. That was the property owner's responsibility. So we've got a lot of great work going on between the FAB and the Shade Tree Commission, which we didn't have, several years ago. So I'm very happy that mitigation part of emergency management is being well taken care of by our groups and by the council's support. So thank you, and let's keep on moving ahead.
And I can follow up that. I have a contact at the Jersey Central, and he says, Pompton Lakes, considering he considers it a wooded area, he goes, you guys don't have many problems over there. I go, yeah, I don't have to call you as much. He said, I got other communities that call me as soon as I get the first little wind, they got 5 trees down. And they lost power, what am I doing? These residents are upset, they don't have power. He goes, the Pompton Lakes calls, they don't have a real emergency. It's pretty sad.
True. And what other people don't realize either, the bigger communities like West Milford, it's an 80 square mile community, very forested. But they don't have the per capita per square mile that we have. We have 3,500 people per square mile in this little 3 square mile town. So our commitment to the residents is much greater in our small footprint than it is in a town that big. So again, people don't realize that, and I hope the public gets their information from good sources and not from Facebook, because what I see on Facebook, it's just horrible what goes on there and how it's taken out of context with everything that goes on in our town.
You're obviously not that new generation they were talking about.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Thank you. Approval of the floor. No? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Close session. Close session. You have a motion? Motion. Councilman DeLine, Councilman Giaconetti. Thank you all for coming. I said, most of them haven't.
You said the line.
The line and... You all look the same.
All right, back on there, guys.
In closed session, we discussed negotiation with an outside vendor. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman
Do you
Miller.
want a Girl Scout cookie? Yeah, the new flavor. Never heard of it.
More.
Heck, I bet you haven't had a Girl Scout cookie in a long time.
Long time.
You want one?
I wish there were another one.
Throw them down here.